Here is why you should come to Thrive in 25 in Chicagoland from June 25th through June 28th. If you are feeling stuck, if you are feeling like you're in between, if you are feeling pulled towards something but you can't quite identify what it is, if there is a version of you that you are ready to release, a death inside of your existence that you are ready to rebirth from, we need you with us. We need you in this space. This conference is only going to be as strong as the women who are there. And the women who are there are going to be change makers in every single one of their communities and spaces and walks of life. So go to thrive-in25.com to get your ticket before we sell out. It is going to be an epic compilation of Coachella meets Eat, Pray, Love meets spring break. I don't know what the third thing is, but it's all the things for ladies who want to be poured into and to pour into one another.
Welcome to Women Leaders on the Move, a Her C-Suite radio podcast. I'm your host, Natalie Benamou, and every week I bring you stories and insights from guests and ideas that are going to help you with the arc of your life and your career. We talk about portfolio careers, what to do next, how to live your best life, and more. And that is what we're talking about today with Erin Gallagher, my guest. I am so excited that I had the opportunity to sit down with Erin and talk about the arc of her evolution of becoming CEO and founder of Ella, about writing her book, Hype Women, and she is the keynote speaker for Thrive in 2025, the women's conference I'm co-hosting with Hope Mueller and Jen Pastikas, June 25th through the 28th here in Chicago. I can't wait for you to hear all of the things that Erin is going to share with you and why you matter. You need to surround yourself with the right women to lift you up and propel you forward. Let's get started with this conversation now. Erin, I'm so excited to welcome you to Women Leaders on the Move today. Thanks for being on the show.
I'm so excited to be here, Natalie. I think it's really courageous when women vulnerably put themselves out into the world in whatever form they do, whether it's with writing, with podcasts, with gathering in small circles or speaking on big stages. All of those places create connection and also make women feel seen. So thank you for creating this space for us to have this conversation and for women to tell the truth.
I cannot wait to get started. But before I do, I have to tell a little story for our listeners because we both have a connection to Ann Arbor, which is so fun. And we're going to give a shout out to University of Michigan, to Ann Arbor, even to Ypsilanti. I have to do that for your mom. So we'll shout it out. So I love that we're connected that way. That's super fun.
Go blue, go blue.
Go blue. There we go. We got that out of the way. So I am thrilled that we're having this chance to talk because you have been building this momentum now for several years, more than several years. And then you wrote this book and I got the chance to hear about it firsthand. But for our audience who's listening to you on this show for the first time, let's talk a little bit about that journey and your Hype Women journey and then the book, which is amazing. And I cannot wait to, I've already ordered it. Now I get to see you and talk more about it. So let's go.
Thank you. Listen, pre-orders are everything. So
yeah,
thank
pre-order. I will have the link in the show notes. Pre-order the book. Yes.
It means so much. Every single order means so much to me. It's a birth of a new medium for me. And what's interesting is I started my current company, Ella, July 20th, 2022. I called my company Ella because I wanted it to be so deeply feminine. And Ella means women, it means she, her. I made sure that my color palette was very feminine and that I wasn't doing anything to shapeshift or make myself palatable for this corporate environment that I'd grown up in. One that is very male-centered and built by and for men and has masculine energy pumping through it. and just has a very different energy. And so I knew that in birthing Ella into the world, she would be my only daughter. I have two boys. My son Will just turned 9, and Charlie is 6. And there was no way I was having any other children. And so this was my only way to have a girl. And what is wild to me is that just like everything I've been talking about, and just like, as you can see, these butterflies behind me, tattooed on my body, I have this obsession with what butterflies do. This idea that a crawling caterpillar goes into a cocoon and completely dissolves into goo, not knowing what it is going to become, but with the bravery of believing that something is on the other side and that it transforms into a completely different being and exits that cocoon when it's ready and flies away as a butterfly. It is fascinating to me. It is magic. It is science. It is all of the things. And that is what has happened with my company over these almost 3 years, because July 20th, coming up in 2 months, will be 3 years. And we know how big of a milestone that is for a small business. Every year that you are still alive, you are breaking the percentages that are stacked against you in terms of your survival rate. And so hype women wasn't a thing. It wasn't a word or an entity or a being when I launched Ella, but it's always been inside of me. This idea that women don't see them, other women, as threats or competition, but instead see them as sisters in solidarity, as co-conspirators. And so when I wrote the LinkedIn post about the photo of Jamie Lee Curtis hyping Michelle Yeoh when she won Best Actress for Everything Everywhere All at Once at the Golden Globes 2 years ago, January 11th, 1/11, I had no idea what was going to happen. And it became this sort of firestorm because women are so tired of hating each other. We want something different. We are ready for something different. And it doesn't mean that we're going to befriend every single woman, because not all women are hype women. There are mean girls amongst us. And so in that moment, when I wrote that post, Jamie Lee Curtis used her social capital to amplify my message and share it on Instagram with her 6.5 million followers. And within 4 days, that post was covered by 21 major global publications. And as a former PR person who spent 15 years in agencies running marketing, PR, communications, when you get that kind of traction, when you don't pitch a story in media, it means there is a cultural zeitgeist. And so since then, right, we are now 2 years into that Hype Women movement. I turned it into hypewomen.com, a podcast of which we now have almost 30 episodes. And it has become a book, which I wrote last year, finished in February. February 1 is when I turned my manuscript in, and the book, she is out of her cocoon on October 14th, 2025. And so I think what the power of trusting your intuition to say what you believe out in the world, like I just said to you, is the gift that you give us with this medium. The power that can come from that can completely change your life.
And I think women, we tend to let our light dim. We have all these inner critics. And I always tell people, I have conversations with women all day, and they'll say, "Oh, I haven't been doing this." Like they owe me some kind of explanation. And I'm like, no, you're in the season of where you are. And that's exactly where you're meant to be. And then you get to decide where you're going. Let's not keep telling ourselves, I have all these things I'm supposed to be doing. You're doing what you're supposed to be doing. And I think that's one of the reasons that so many women are resonating with the beautiful messages that you put out in the world, is that we're finally able to feel free, to be able to say, you know what, exactly where I am is where I am. And so I hope that all the listeners today are realizing that, how important that is. And we are going to have a way for them to celebrate this together. So moving into the book, I want to just talk a little bit about the book because I had the chance to see you in person and hear about the book. And I do have to tell that. I want you to tell a little bit of that story because I think it's so fantastic how you got your book deal and that you are intentionally hyping it in advance. People don't understand. I know because I'm in an anthology. I'm writing another anthology, and it is not easy. It is so not easy to write a book and to get visibility. And what you're doing takes courage and tenacity and all the things. So tell a little bit about that, about how you went about it and how you're doing it now.
It's really interesting when you believe lies that you've been told about yourself, ugly lies, when you believe them, when someone tells you a beautiful truth, you think they're lying. And so you can't even accept hype until you believe that that is the truth. This book process happened, it played out that way for me. And I write about it in detail inside of the book. But what I will say is that the highlight is that 2 years ago, I received an email from an editor at Wiley, Victoria Savan, who said, I'm watching you and I believe you have a book in you and I would love to talk to you about it. And I never responded to her. I truly thought that she had the wrong email. And so a year later, she reached out to me again. And she said, hey, I'm back. Still watching you. Still believe you have a book in you. And this time I thought, okay, she probably didn't make the mistake twice, but I don't really know what she has in mind here, but I'll meet with her. I'll talk to her. So I talked to her and then I said, all right, let me think about it. And then I said, I'll reach back out to you. And I never did. And she had to follow up with me. And, I say this in the book too, like as I wrote this out and as I really looked at the chronology of the exchange between Victoria and I look like a real fucking asshole. I look like I'm either playing hard to get or I am not interested. And none of that was true. I just didn't believe that I could do it. So I didn't take any of it seriously. And, only when I was ready, when I finally said to myself, how much longer are you going to stay in the background? How much longer are you going to do what you've been told is your role, which is to amplify other people? When are you going to step onto the damn stage into the light? So it took a long time for me to be able to do that. And it happened throughout the process of the book. I mean, I like talk about the experience of even my editor having an exchange with me as I wrote the book. I mean, the second version of my edits had new content because they happened between when I wrote and turned in my manuscript and I had to turn in my first round of edits. So the point there is I am always going to be a learner. I am nowhere near fully healed or done growing or any of that. And that is absolutely acceptable. We are human. We are fallible. And women are taught to be so damn perfect and to have this aspirational sort of archetype of selflessness and abandonment of ourselves in service to other people to show that we are worthy and valued. And I think turning 40 was the thing that just kind of broke me, just fully broke me down, broke me open. And I had to investigate that and say, how much longer am I going to abandon myself in service to others? So this book, the process of writing this book was unbelievably cathartic. It was so exhausting and draining. I released stored trauma in my body. I wrote everything. And again, like even different parts of this process, I was still needing to follow the advice and the invitation that I was writing in my own damn book. And when I was told that I had 60,000 words to write and I turned in 70,000 because I was like, I can't cut this down anymore. This is now your responsibility. They gave me 10,000 more words. So if I had been a good girl and followed those rules that I was told and never considered that maybe that didn't apply to me, there would be 10,000 less words in the book that you are going to read. And what if those are the 10,000 words that actually matter to you, that mean something, that make a change in you, that light a fire? So a lot of my messages to women are, we have to investigate whether or not the things that we believe, the actions that we take, the sort of MO with which we operate, whether it's really what's in our heart or if it's our conditioning. And if we've been conditioned to act this way and we never ask ourselves the question of whether or not we would like to do something different, then we just kind of go through life on autopilot. And so it has been this deep introspection about what no longer serves me that I am interested in releasing that allowed this book to even come to be in the first place.
And I think that's what is going to be so powerful at our conference that we're doing together at Thrive, because all this conditioning that we've had and all the things that are not serving us, that is the moment that we can come together in a safe space and really just celebrate that moment. And so I'm so excited that you are joining us. And it's so unique because oftentimes someone comes in as the keynote and they come in, they leave, and that's it. And you're like, but wait. And you're like kind of like lining up at the front of the room. And you're like, no, I'm going to get my 2 minutes and I'm going to say hi and, playing it all out. And then they rush off. And that is not what we're talking about. So tell me a little bit about this, because this is the difference and why women are going to experience something different. And I don't know if you know this, but I'm going to put this out there, that we have been asked, and this is going to resonate, I know, with you, to not use the word women in Thrive in 2025 Women's Conference, because we needed to kind of take it out, neutralize. And we were like, no, this was before we connected, but this is why this moment is so important. So I'm going to turn it over to you now and hear what
Who were you asked not to use women by?
It was a corporation.
Literally fuck off.
We're not going to, so we're erasing that. No, it's not happening.
People are showing us who they are, Natalie, right? People are showing us who they are. Women are 51% of the population. We are half of the labor force. We were more than half of the labor force at the start of the pandemic, but we know what happened there. We wield 85% of consumer buying power.
I know, the power of the purse.
Our unpaid labor is worth more than $10.9 trillion every year. You don't get to fucking tell us not to use the word women. So when we get that information from people, we take it, we believe them. We believe what they're telling us. We believe what they say. And then we don't show up for them anymore because they're abandoning us. We are seeing this across the board. This is, the last 6 months have shown us a lot in terms of the absolute disrespect for women and women of color in particular, and Black women the most. So I don't remember the question because I'm so angry.
The question is, what are we going to do now at this conference coming together? Now we're going back into this beautiful moment of bringing women together, because it's a women's conference. And the experience is going to be so unique because we are interacting all the time, the whole time. And I love that. So talk a little bit about that and why you're excited about it.
Yeah, I think that if I wasn't continuing to just um, look at myself and recognize old patterns in me, I don't know if I would have been a person that stayed. I would have maybe been an in and out keynote because I would have been booked and busy. I would have been needing to be in so many places. I learned that that was how to be successful after spending 15 years in corporate America. I learned that that was what was necessary when I co-founded and ran and grew my first company, Haverback, before I resigned from it 2.5 years later. I learned that if I'm not tired, I'm not in pain, I'm not anxious, I'm not worried, I'm not distressed, then I'm not trying hard enough. I was taught that my worth and my value were tied to my service to others. So, again, I'm the founder and CEO of my own damn company of one. And so I still have been repeating those patterns, though, overextending myself, being booked and busy. I have been to New York 6 times this year, and it is May 22nd. I have done 5 Hype Women book preview events, which is the book tour before the book tour, which we discussed, which I am deeply happy that I did. And I'm really proud of myself that I paused because I was about to be in 4 to 6 other cities over these past 2 months. And I just said, hold on. Well, I got to slow down. I need to sit for a minute. And that's really difficult when you are a type A woman who is constantly in motion, who is thinking about what's next, who is anticipating the needs of others, who has been celebrated and rewarded for being the first to show up and the last to leave. And it's that martyrdom to grit that contributes to that $10.9 trillion in unpaid labor that women contribute to the global economy every year. We're an entire fucking GDP. And so, Natalie, I have been slowing down the past month. And in doing that, my body is like telling me all of the things that it's been holding. And I've been pushing through physical pain and other things. And I just was like, to what end? So, this beautiful conference that you all are putting together over the course of almost 3 days, right? Starting on the 25th in the evening with a welcome reception, and then 2 full days of programming on the 26th and 27th, and then a half day before we send people off into the world on the 28th. I was like, why don't we build around what we're doing there instead of me running everywhere else? And so I was talking with Hope, and in addition to my keynote, on the other day, I'm going to be doing a panel because I want to bring what my keynote is about to life in a actualized way of practicing it through examples of women that I've done this with. So we're going to be doing all of those things. I mean, I kind of half joke when I'm like, ladies, this is like Eat, Pray, Love meets spring break meets like Coachella for women over 40. I mean, that's kind of, and yes, I'm sure there are women who are under 40 that are coming, but like, it's sort of this time in our life where we are realizing that no one's coming to save us. No one is going to take care of us. No one is going to address what we need most. That is our responsibility. It is not our fault that we have been conditioned to act this way, but it is our responsibility and our opportunity to make a different choice. So that's what I think this conference is really about, is how are we going to operate going forward? How do we interface with the existing system but also create new ecosystems that are built by and for women. And my keynote is called The Hype Women Economy. Karma is our currency. And it is my belief that we cannot operate in the way that the majority of these systems celebrate and create minimal to no barriers for anyone who identifies as a straight, white, cisgendered man. Any degree of difference you are from that, the harder it is, the more barriers you have in place, the less access to opportunity. And so how are we going to create access to human, social, financial, and political capital through the deposits and withdrawals that we make with one another? We have to do this, or it's just going to be hundreds of years before we see movement. So I can't wait. I think this is going to be such a beautiful experience of a pouring in and then opportunities to connect and investigations of self and celebrations and just joy. I mean, joy is not this thing at the very, very, very end that we have to work really hard to earn the right to. It is the way. It is the way.
Joy is the way. And I cannot wait. I can't wait for women to really get to experience this at all the levels. And, it's an immersion that's going to go on for the year. And they're going to be able to spend time with Jen Pastikas and me and her C-suite and just really continue to thrive and hyping each other and supporting one another. Because if we don't do it, no one is coming. Like you said, no one's coming. We've got to do this. And I'm so thrilled that we'll have this chance to celebrate all the things with your book and what you've learned on this journey and where you're going. And the hype economy is a real thing. It is our currency. It is our way of power of the purse. We own that. So when women are like, well, I don't know if I can invest that right now, you're worth it. You're worth it. You deserve it. We've talked about that $10 trillion of doing free stuff for everyone else. Pour into yourself. Join us. I cannot wait. I can't wait for us to do this together. So fun. I'm excited. And I selfishly get to be with you for like 2.5 days.
Listen, right? That's a lot of fun. And it's kind of like, it's an extended sleepover that adult women don't always have the time and the space to gift to ourselves, but it is going to be that. And I think that is just so needed right now. We need spaces and rooms where women can come together to tell the truth. That is an incredible act of resistance in a world that is trying to silence us and erase us. And so they cannot stop us from gathering. They cannot take that from us. That is where we pour more power into one another and ourselves, and we come out stronger. And it is going to be this groundswell that is unstoppable, that's happening across the country, across the globe, across the universe.
Amazing. I can't wait. And if people are hearing this for the first time, if they don't know you and they want to follow you and they want to buy your book, which we will have the link because they need to buy your book in advance, where is the best place for them to go for all the things?
Yeah, all the things are on hypewomen.com. I have all of the links to purchase, to pre-order the book in any of the places that you prefer to buy your books, and information about the Thrive Conference and how you can get your ticket and make sure that you're there with us before we sell out. And then you can always find me on social media, on LinkedIn and on Instagram. And both of those are linked on my website. And, I think that we stop ourselves a lot of the time from listening to our intuition. When we are called to do something or pulled towards something, we think of all the reasons why it's not going to work, or we don't need to do it, or it's a nice to have, but not a must have. And I think if women quieted that noise more often and truly listened to our intuition, which is our strongest sort of life force, we would be pulled towards experiences like this, where we are surrounded by women who help us remember who the fuck we are. Once we remember that, once we ensure that those lies that we've been told are identified as such. No one can stop us. No one.
No one can stop us. I can't wait. I can't wait because it's only 6 weeks away or so when this comes out. So I agree. It's going to sell out. Hurry up. Hurry up. Buy the tickets. Come and join us. And thank you, Erin. This has been so fun. I'm so glad we got a chance to spend time together. And I will see you again soon. Thanks for being on the show. Thank you for spending your time with us today. I had so much fun talking to Erin, and I hope you did too, listening to how she has evolved with her business, writing her book, and now being a keynote speaker at Thrive in 2025 Women's Conference. I want to see you there. Be sure to go to Thrive in 25. You will find the link in the show notes. And as always, keep shining your light bright. The world needs you.